Devon Williams, Denzel, Boston, and the Washington Huskies host Luke Altmyer, Gabe, Jacas, and the Illinois Fighting Illini in a must-win Big Ten matchup. Both of these teams badly need a win. Washington is coming off of a very tough road loss to Michigan, and Illinois off of the bye. Previously, they had been blown out at home by the Ohio State Buckeyes. Now, the loss to Ohio State is something that both of these teams have in common. What we saw in both of those games was an inability to find the downfield passing plays that we have seen from these two teams, as well as an ability to run the football. Both these teams have shown throughout the season that they can pop very large runs, that they can have balance, that as a defense as well, they can get pressure on the quarterback and hold up in the back end. Now, what we saw from Washington, simply put, to start with them on that side, Devon Williams, their quarterback, the interception. This was a 7-7 football game until they threw the pick. The Wolverines, I believe, start with the football inside the 10. They punch it in for the touchdown, and then they're putting together a nice drive down 7-14, throws the next interception. I know that you can't put, I guess the last two fully on him, but still, as a player in those types of games, they really could not afford to turn the ball over more than one time against that Wolverine defense. I don't care what they look like against USC. They had a little bit of an edge to them. I was excited about that offense, and you saw Denzel, Boston, the deep shot early, and didn't really go back to it until later on in the day. If I'm Illinois, immediately, I'm looking at number 17. I'm looking at Gabe Jacas. Man, you have to hold your lane. We have to stay in our rush lanes. We need to have integrity. Cannot let Devon Williams scramble out, extend plays for first downs, because Williams had two, I think, in the first quarter, maybe only one other rushing first down the rest of the day. Michigan did such a great job taking him away, and as well as some of that backyard stuff with Denzel, Boston, ability to find him down the field. Denzel, Boston, not really a massive threat against Michigan in this game. He had 71 yards, but a bulk of that clearly coming in the first half. Jonah Coleman, going into this matchup, I felt so confident that Jonah Coleman against Michigan would have a lot of success against them. The way that King Miller looked running the football against USC, 16 carries for 50 yards, just above 3 yards a carry, and then they get 190 yards run on them. If I'm Illinois, I'm looking at my big back in Fagan. I'm trying to find a way to pound the football. Him and Valentine have been a great dynamic duo. Both guys have found the end zone. Aiden Lowry, they have so many running backs. They've got this stable of guys that have run it well, and then you can have a little bit of balance. Luke Altmyer, extended plays at times, just trying to give you maybe a first down or two once a game running the football. Really, the issue for him is that he's just been under so much pressure. Illinois needs to stay on schedule. Where am I concerned about the Washington side for this game? Well, it is Hank Beatty. This kid is fantastic. He's got over 600 yards on the season. Only 2 times he's gotten into the box with 2 touchdowns, but immediately he's a player that you need to be looking at. Like Tacario Davis, it's very important that he hold up in coverage coming off that injury and play a good game. Colin Dixon is also a great number 2 wideout. So they've got these 2 weapons for Illinois, and then on the ground, they've had a lot of success running the football this season and being very balanced. These are 2 teams that want to run the ball to establish the downfield passing attack. Run the ball first so that you can open up Colin Dixon and Beatty on the outside. For Washington, Devon Williams picking up 6, and then it's Jonah Coleman for 7, that's Coleman for 5, and then you have the deep ball once the safeties start coming up, and Denzel, Boston in a one-on-one, you can start taking your shots and going with your opportunities. What really surprised me with Illinois was how they actually had a bit more success throwing the football than you would have expected against Ohio State. They had more success throwing the ball than Washington did. Look, I know it was the game was a bit away from them in the second half and might have just been scoreboard type stuff, but in the middle of that defense, you saw a similarity. Washington hit some throws up the seam. Illinois was able to establish that. I think both of these teams, go back and watch the film, and we're going to see more throws over the middle. Typically in football at any level, high school, NFL, college, a determination of whether a quarterback is playing with confidence, that believes in himself, is whether or not he's pulling the trigger on throws over the middle of the field, layering those throws over the linebacker in front of the safety, whether he's hitting that seam on time and his wide out isn't getting blown up, he's able to catch the ball and defend himself. There's a couple of thoughts in my head that come into this that really, I think that this game starts to favor Washington in a sense, that I believe that there will be chances for Damon Williams to get more into his backyard football style, that Illinois doesn't quite have the front seven that Michigan does. Look, Derek Moore played an insane game. There's Rashawn Benny. There's Barham for Michigan. They've got a ton of players. Zeke Berry played a heck of a day, coming down in coverage, being really aggressive. That's the style he plays. And in Washington, unfortunately, it was mentioned in the broadcast that they were going to run that double move at some point. Zeke Berry is coming down. When you throw the football for that 5-yard gain, he's either deflecting it or it's going to wind up being a catch for a 5-6 yard gain. But they didn't run the double move, the pump and go, the out and up to be able to hit him behind him and really make a guy pay. If you don't have that in your toolbox, then you can't go to it. If I'm Illinois, really, I'm coming out and trying to defend that, the underneath stuff, and forcing Washington's hand, like saying, if you guys aren't going to take the deep shots and try and take advantage of having one of the best wide receivers in college football in Denzel Boston, he's probably going to be a day 2 pick in the 2026 draft, then fine. We'll take our 1-and-1s to Roebuck, who's a guy that's been developing well, a couple of good catches. He's been playing some good football. It's just when you watch the difference of confidence early in that one at Damon Williams compared to just the Friday night against Rutgers, the timing, the accuracy of his passes, his willingness to roll out and run. Look, Michigan has different athletes than Rutgers has. I understand that. But Illinois, do not sleep on the athletes that they have. Damon Williams isn't just going to have time to be able to create back there or roll around. Gabe, that's another day 2 defender that will be taken either in round 2 or round 3 of the 2026 NFL draft. A lot of NFL players in this game headed against each other. The running back situation for Washington is something that I think I just want to see more of. Jonah Coleman establishing him, getting him going, get him 24, 25 carries. It's something that they tried to do against Michigan, but fully couldn't. Like Illinois against the Ohio State Buckeyes, were you thinking that you were going to have that much success? They ran the football for less than 2 yards a carry. You weren't going to do to them what you could do to USC. You just can't compare those fronts. You saw what Notre Dame just did to USC. They had 320 yards on the ground. That's not a USC front seven that's necessarily an elite group. They have number 18. They've got Jakeem Stewart, and that there's some other good players over there, but there's not a whole lot of bite to that defense. It looks like the same type of squad. So there was a lot of confidence from this Illinois team off of that USC win. Again, Illinois, the veteran ability of Luke Altmyer, you have to like that. Going on the road, though, this is a tough test. Just because Washington lost that game against Ohio State does not mean that they do not have a home field advantage. It doesn't mean that they are not better playing at home and have such a historic ability to win big matchups when they have someone coming in to Husky Stadium. I have a lot of faith that Washington can bounce back, but when you look at that, you've got 5-2 teams. Both of these teams have the 2 losses in the Big Ten. Washington, Ohio State, and Michigan. Illinois, they lost to Indiana and Ohio State. None of those losses are bad to the Buckeyes. The Michigan game, there are opportunities for Washington. Illinois, they pretty much throughout the film, they just didn't quite show up for that matchup. I think they're going into this game, both of them feeling a lot of confidence because of Illinois. What's left on that schedule? You beat Washington on the road? You very well could be looking at a college football playoff team. They can run the table and wind up 10-2 and have an ability to find themselves playing more football in January. If you're the Washington Huskies, you still have that showdown once you have the Oregon Ducks come to town. But besides that, not a whole lot on the schedule. You get Oregon in your building. later on in the season, who knows what happens with Oregon the next couple of weeks. They looked a bit vulnerable against Indiana from a physicality standpoint. That team is not invincible, not in the way that the Buckeyes are, for example, so that's a winnable game. For all intents and purposes, this is absolutely an elimination game, and the winner of it, their chances of making the college football playoff, frankly, stand, they would be somewhere in the 30%. I would wager that they can set up themselves to go on a little bit of run to really have a chance at it. I would imagine that whoever wins this game winds up being 9-2 heading into the final week of the regular season, where they've got a chance to get a win and in a type of spot, which is exactly what you want. If you would have told you this is what you have, it's too bad that it's this and the loser of this game will be out of this thing, but that's where we are in the season now. It's week 9. You start talking about the college football playoff. You start talking about implications and what these types of games mean. Now, Jedd Fisch calling the plays for his offense. I have faith that he will be able to really get Damon Williams going, get him 10, 11 carries, really show, because he rips that football over the middle of the field when Denzel Boston has one-on-ones. Take those. For Illinois, Brett Bielema, this team will be ready to play on the road. They're not just going to sit there and let Damon Williams scramble around and have all the time to throw. He's going to be dialing up pressure. Overall, though, I have a little bit more faith in Washington. Just got to say, the game is at home. I'm going to do it where I think Washington wins, but I think Illinois will be able to cover. As of right now, Washington's favored by about 3.5. The recording of this video, I say Washington wins this game 24-21. See a little bit of scoring, but not a whole lot. Both of these teams kind of clamp down and play better defense. But Washington 24-21. They get the win at home over Illinois and give themselves a shot towards the end of the season to maybe do some serious business. Now, let me know in the comments whether you agree or disagree with my prediction. I appreciate you so much for watching this Blitz with Blinder video. I make NFL and college content every day. It's so fun that we get to these matchups now where it's do or die. It's not win or go home because he's still got 4 games left on the season. But this is it. It's go time. You need your best football on this Saturday in this moment, or there's not going to be a whole lot of truly massively meaningful football the rest of the season. So I appreciate you so much. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Let's enjoy this matchup. Best player in college football. That Georgia and Ohio State game, New Year's Eve, is going to be a classic.
Josh Blunder. Hi, everybody. I'm Josh Blunder. To the 40, 35, 30. Espinosa to the 20.